everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tammy. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. It's good to have you. Yes, today so we have a special person. We have Banke here. Banke is amazing. In fact, I'm going to leave her to introduce herself. So Banke, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Banke. I've known Tammy for, I don't know, I guess two to three years or so. Yeah. All right. I live in Edmonton. Here. I'm, I guess, working as an accountant. Yeah, I'm just trying to take each day at a time, I guess.
So guys, in today's video, we want to talk about transitioning from student to PR, which is something that Banke has done. We're going to share our experience, tips, what you need to do if you're a student in Canada and you're looking to transition, or if you're not a student right now and you want to come to Canada but eventually you want to live here, work here. She's just going to share her tips, ways that you can do it, and how she also went about it as well.
Well, I went to school, a school called St. Mary's University in Halifax. So honestly, how I got to know about the school was in Nigeria. This is quite a long time ago anyway. There was something in the newspaper, like a bit of a posting about like one of those, not career fair, but like a fair where different universities, like representatives from different universities rather will be coming to speak, and yeah. So that's kind of how I got to know about St. Mary's University. So because I did have a bit of prior experience schooling in the US, so I ended up going there and kind of speaking to one of the representatives, and then she kind of asked me some questions about my experience in the US, and then by the time I got like some information from her, like the brochure, looked at like the tuition fees, it seemed cheaper than what I was like paying in the US, and then there were also like opportunities for scholarships and things like that.
So would you say that when you were making the choice to school in Canada, like what were the things that you mentioned, like scholarship and some of the opportunities, but if you just want to be specific about some of the things that attracted you to Canada, why you felt like it was a good thing, like as a student it was best for you to come here? What were those things you looked at?
So definitely the opportunity to stay after graduation, that was definitely something that attracted me. I don't want to give any misinformation, but I feel like with the UK and with you, like obviously I would hope your viewers will go back and actually like do their research and not like take me but I'm pretty sure with the UK and the US the rules are very strict, where like for instance for the US, I think you need to have a job by a certain time as you're graduating, or if you want to leave further on, I think, because I know I've been seeing some posts on LinkedIn on some people who have lost their jobs, and it's really like a serious situation where I think if they don't get another job within like 30 days or something like that, they have to leave. So those were some of the things I kind of considered that after graduation, do I want to get some work experience? Even if although as at that time the thought was, okay, I might possibly go back home to Nigeria at some point. But the point was, if I want to get some work experience before I go back to Nigeria, where's the ideal environment for that? Where will I be able to get the opportunity to even become like a permanent resident, like what I have in Canada now? So those were some of the thoughts I definitely had, and that was why Canada seemed like the right fit. Obviously, I had heard tales of Canada being really cold, but then I guess it was one of those things where based on my experience in the US, I was like, okay, if I can survive it there, somehow we'll be fine in Canada.
So you came to Canada eventually, found out about it, made your choice, came to Canada, and you finished your your studies in Canada. So how did you make that transition from student to PR? Like what was that journey like, and what exactly did you do?
So that's the wonderful thing about schooling in Canada. You get a postgraduate work permit. So if I remember correctly, I apologize, some of this No, because you know when you're not in the middle of it anymore, the facts are not as. But I'm pretty sure the postgraduate work permit is something that you get for 3 years. In fact, I actually saw a posting a few days ago.
Okay.
That's another wonderful thing about schooling in Canada.
Yeah.
The government of
we
Canada,
can find that link and put it.
Yes, the government is always trying to give students and people the opportunity opportunity just to settle down here. So the reason why I'm referencing that is because normally it's 3 years, but I saw a posting somewhere that the government of Canada has increased the duration. Yes, especially because they understand what's going on in the economy, where maybe people are not able to get jobs immediately to be able to transition to permanent residency. So that's definitely one advantage about Canada, where in addition to getting the 3 years on your postgraduate work permit, it looks like you can even extend it a bit longer if you're having issues with getting a job. The reason why I reference that is because in order to become a permanent resident, there are different streams. So the stream I ended up using was Canadian Experience class, I believe. So there are different ones. There's the nominee
provincial
program. I know a few of my friends in Nova Scotia. So like I mentioned, I went to school in Halifax, then I moved to Edmonton. A few of my friends decided, okay, maybe that would be the approach they want to use. So I know. So what usually happens is there's something called express entry. You're obviously familiar with this. So you will gain like a certain number of points based on different things, your age, your test of English score, and all of that. So the provincial nomination program definitely like boosts your score, right? So that was definitely an approach I know some of my friends did, although I think there might be certain requirements such that if you go that route, I think the province might require to maybe stay there maybe like a year or something.
I think it's about 3 years. If you do the provincial, you need to be there for 3 years. And
something like. At the end of it, I think all of this information, not I think, it is available online.
It is.
So you can always go online and read up on what will work for you. So what I ended up doing was the Canadian Experience class, like I said. So what that means pretty much is there are certain type of jobs that have different classes. So for the Canadian Experience class, they will kind of say, oh, does your job fall under this class? Because that if it does, then I can apply under that stream.
So sorry to cut you, but I just wanted to ask a question. So did you have to, I know you used like the Canadian Experience class, so did you have to work for some time, and do you also have to put in work experience when you apply?
Yes, so those are one of those, that's definitely one of the things that increases your score. So you usually need like a year work experience under that class of job. So that's definitely, and when I say a year, I believe that's full time. If you're working part-time, I know there are different requirements as well, so it might be a bit longer than a year, because I never want to discourage a person who maybe has been able to find like a part-time job and is like, I won't be able to apply for Canada. I'm pretty sure there's still certain things,
and guys will find the link and put
yes So I ended up working for a year while on my postgraduate work permit, because what happens is once you graduate as a student, you have to apply for your postgraduate work permit. So that's the one that I said, as at the time I got it was about 3 years, but now it looks like it's been extended. So within 1 year of that, I had kind of gotten what I needed, like in terms of the work experience, and so I was able to put in my like information, and the application for the express entry for the permanent residency.
So I think like one of the things or questions I get from people is they see it as daunting. They want to use agents for that application. Even with express entry, people are like, oh, and you just need to give everything to an agent. How did you go about like just applying yourself, going on that website, doing the application? What would you say for people that find it daunting, or people that will be like, I'd rather just give it to an agent to do it? What would you say to them?
At the end of the day, I guess do what works for you. But then what I will say is maybe keep in mind that all of these applications cost money. And if there's a way that you can save money, why not use that approach, right? But at the end of the day, I guess you would have to do what works for you. I would definitely say that the CIC website, which is like the Canada Immigration website, is very explanatory, honestly. There's a lot of information such that if you want to apply for permanent residence, there will be kind of checklists that, did you meet this? Do you meet this? Do you meet? So that will help you at least narrow it down. So I definitely would say that you should do it yourself if you can. It's just a matter of just reading. I
Yeah.
think that's what it is. Maybe some
Yeah.
people like don't have the time, or they feel like
Yeah.
it's daunting. I don't think it's really that bad. And I find that too with the internet age as well. There are a lot, yes. So even if the CIC website might not have maybe the exact scenario that you're in, I keep
There's
seeing
other websites,
yes,
things that you
yes,
can find
there are so many websites
Yeah.
online that you could always just check. Just Google like maybe a brief snippet or sentence of what
Yeah.
scenario you're in, and you will just start seeing information on what people
And I feel
did.
like that's also the beauty of Canada. There's a lot of information. It's just for you to take your time and see out what you really need.
How does
Obviously
this
ask
apply?
questions, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
at the end of the day, I personally feel like it's not something that is difficult to do. You can do it yourself, but it just takes time for you to sit down, know how to go about it. Okay. So another question is I have for you will be, and making that transition from being a student to being a permanent resident here, what do you think about Canada? Do you think that, making that decision to come and school here was the right one? What do you think in general about Canada? There's someone maybe out there that is like, do I go to Canada, UK, or US? And besides, at the end of the day, it's your choice, right? But we're just sharing experience.
Yes.
What would you say to someone who is thinking of a lot of there's Australia, there's a lot of countries to choose, but what would you say just being here and making that transition? If someone was to come to you and say Canada, UK, US, what would be your advice to them, just making that transition?
To be honest, for a while there when I came to Canada, it didn't necessarily feel like home. I want to be, I guess, as honest as possible.
Yes.
For a while there, it still felt, well, definitely it now feels like home.
Yeah.
So I would just say, just kind of maybe look at your career goals, look at what you want for your life. I find that like in terms of Canada, I think it's definitely a very good place to settle down in. I think in terms of opportunities, in terms of work, Canada definitely has a lot of opportunities. I mean, if it's not in one province, you can always explore the other 9 provinces in terms of like the job opportunities. And it's definitely multicultural. And if that's maybe something that you
Guys, you heard it. I've always said it. It's multicultural. Like your mind will be so open to a lot of things.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely because I find sometimes if you live life a certain way, you never tend to get like other perspectives.
True.
So I think that's one of the wonderful things I love about living here. You get to learn different perspectives. Yes, you might still have a certain way of thinking and a certain way of living, but it's nice to kind of interact with different types of people, different cultures, learn about others, so you're not just stuck in your own bubble and in the way you do things. And then there's so many advantages as well to living in Canada. I mean, in terms of like the health system, I know that's definitely something that some people in the US talk about how obviously nowhere is perfect.
True.
But then I mean, some people have talked about how in the US it seems insurance, getting like access to the health system is a bit more difficult than it might be for a typical Canadian, I would say. So definitely this is the place in terms of security as well. I know, I guess depending on where you're listening from.
And it's not to say that Canada doesn't have its challenges,
Yes,
right? But
yes,
everywhere does.
yes.
But we're just saying if we were to compare and pick and choose, these will be some things.
So and I guess just also that sense of also being able to settle down, because I can't imagine our counterparts in the UK, in the US, like I touched on, where if something goes wrong with a job, there's this sense of panic that if I don't find, like obviously that would happen to anyone anywhere, but there's that sense of it will affect my immigration status. So that can be scary. You never really settle, you're all over the place.
And I feel like with UK, right, it's always changing. So I know that one time it was 3 months postgraduate visa, like you can stay for 3 months after, and then they make it 2 years, and then it's just constantly changing. And then to be a citizen in UK, I think it's 5 years, right? And then Canada is like 3 years. There's just a lot of parallels with those two places.
And like I said, the Canadian government, at least that thing I can definitely testify, it looks like they're always looking for opportunities to
keep you when you come into the country.
So even if you started out thinking, within 3 years I need to find a job, like this whole scenario, like already there's good news for people like that, that due to the economy they still have not been able to find a job, maybe if they want to apply for permanent residency through Canadian experience class. So definitely Canada is the place to be, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So guys, thank you so much for watching today. Thank you so much, Banke, for being here. It's been great having you. So guys, if you're a student, you're a parent or something, you're thinking about where is the best place to choose for my child, definitely take a look into Canada. We're not saying Canada is the best, but there's also a lot of things that you gain. For me personally, just that transition from student to PR is also something that you want to think about. So thank you again, Banke. It's lovely having you here. We hope that you come back again and we'll have like more topics to talk about, more things about sharing life here in Canada. If you haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when I have new videos. Thank you again for watching, and until next one, stay blessed. Bye.